Does anybody have any Bitcoin? Not yet? A little bit? Yeah? I know you do. A couple people? Yeah. A little bit? Yeah. That's nice. Let's start off. Okay. Yeah. So this is basically an introduction to what I'm going to talk about today. And I'm talking about blockchain, I'm talking about NIM, and I'm going to go over some basics, and then I'm going to try to explain why I think that this is going to be fundamentally changing our society and technology and industry. Okay? So the first part is the blockchain is an incorruptible digital ledger. Of course, ledger is just like a book, it's a record, it's a way we store our information. And the important thing is that the way we store our information is now incorruptible. And that's a big deal because you cannot change it, you cannot edit it, and you cannot fake it. And I'm going to explain why it is like this and a little bit later, that it's incorruptible. Okay, and then we have economic transactions on the blockchain. This is records of money, changing stores of value. But guess what? It's not just about financial transactions, but virtually everything of value. And I'm going to go a lot into what do I mean by value and all the different things that we have for value. So that's going to be wonderful. Thank you. First, why is it so important? I'm going to go back in time, way back in time. 1950s America, 1960s, 1970s, when computers were starting, people were making databases, right? And even IBM, by the 1970s and 1980s, IBM in America had deployed databases all over the world for keeping track of all kinds of information. And what was the original security model for a database? Back in the 1970s and the 1980s, if you had a lot of information, how did you protect it? You protected it with a password. And back then, passwords were pretty simple. Password 123. Jeff is the best. My password, right? And that's how we protected it. Now, I want to talk about another technology that was developing at the same time as databases, and that, of course, is the internet. And the internet was, as we know, turned out to be extremely powerful, but it was very different. See, databases were normally in one building, one computer, one server, one place. But the internet was very decentralized, and that means that we had servers all over the world. Now, this is very important because a database you can turn off. A database you can hack, a database you can change, but the internet you cannot turn off. And why can you not turn off the internet? You cannot turn off the internet because it's everywhere. You can shut down a website, you can shut down an ISP, you can block a tower, but the internet always lives on. That's because it's everywhere. There is no one person in charge of the internet. Okay? So what's happening now? These two technologies, internet and databases, were basically developing independently. But by the 1990s, databases and internet started to collide. They started to connect. And this is the typical model for the internet we have now. You have your smartphone, you have your home computer. Let's talk about like this university, for instance. Your computer talks to a server, and then if there's information about students or classes or whatever, then the server's pulling information from the database. And that gets sent back and forth. And so this is kind of the cycle. This is very fast. This is very efficient, but it's not very secure. Why? It's not secure because at this university, there's one guy and he has the password to this database. And he can come in there. And that database has which students made which grades, and it has which students paid which money, and diplomas and certificates and addresses and phone numbers. It's all here, and it can be compromised. And it's not just this university. It's banks, it's governments, it's businesses all around the world. People are trying to hack these databases, and they're connected to the internet, and you get past the firewall, you guess, find an open port, you guess that password, it's all yours. And this happens everywhere. So the internet is basically a weakness. An internet is a point where these databases that developed side and parallel to the internet are now getting hacked. The internet makes databases and database technology weaker, but what about the blockchain? The blockchain was born after the internet, not before. And the blockchain uses the internet as a security measure. The internet, the more internet you have on the blockchain, the stronger the blockchain is. If you only have a little bit of internet, your blockchain is weak. But if you have a lot of internet, your blockchain is strong. Why? Instead of having one database or a master and a slave, on the blockchain, you have 1,000 copies of the blockchain. And it's really easy for a hacker to take down one server, or 2 servers, or 5 servers, 10 servers, 100 servers. But even if a hacker takes down 100 servers, it doesn't matter, because there's 1,000 more, there's 2,000 more, there's 5,000 more. You cannot take down the blockchain the same way you cannot take down the internet. And it's awesome. It's a new security model, and this is the way it's enforced. Now, it is very secure, but it's not very efficient. This is very efficient, but you can't trust it. You can't trust it because one person has control. Here, nobody has control. This is both good and bad. I'm going to try to go into some of the weaknesses and the strengths a little bit later. Okay. So why blockchain? Why is it really cool? Well, it's a new and revolutionary kind of database model and a new and revolutionary kind of network. And when we combine networks and databases, we get this new revolution. So what is it? Above all else, it is cryptography. This is why we call it cryptocurrencies. It's because of the cryptography is securing the cryptocurrencies. And what does this cryptography provide? It provides security, and it provides a new model of security that's never existed before. So I'm going to try to explain how we get our security in blockchain, which is completely different than how we typically get security in other fashions. So first of all, I'm going to give a little example of an ant and some sap. So what is the Filipino word for sap?
Tagta.
Yeah, that. And in this example, we are going to pretend that this is the blockchain and this is a transaction. This is information we want to put on the blockchain. Now, if an ant is walking along in the forest and it's on the trees and it touches some sap, there's a chance it's going to get stuck. But if it's a strong ant and it's a powerful ant, there's a chance it might get away. It just depends on the ant. But what happens after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 minute when more sap falls down from the tree and the sap becomes bigger? It's harder for the ant to escape. And what happens after another 5 minutes or 10 minutes? After another 5 minutes or 10 minutes, more sap comes, and more sap comes. In blockchain, this is like more cryptography. More cryptography, more cryptography, more cryptography. And the more cryptography that we add, the stronger it is. Now, what kind of cryptography is it? Well, we talk about blockchain, we talk about blocks. And putting a transaction in a block just means a round of transactions. It just means a group of transactions. And all of those group of transactions are grouped together with cryptography. And then we put another group or another round or another block of transactions on top of that. And so now we have some cryptography, and now we have more cryptography, and then we have more cryptography, and then we have more cryptography. And the great thing about cryptography is the more cryptography, the better. A little bit of cryptography is good, but a lot of cryptography is great. And every 5 minutes, or every 1 minute, or every 30 seconds, every time there's a new block, you get more cryptography, and it gets more and more impossible to change the history of the ledger. And so it's very powerful. And after 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, or an hour, or a day, that transaction, that information in the blockchain, it's like a dinosaur trapped in a rock. It can never change. There's so much cryptography and so much power built on top of it, it can never be undone. And that's our security model of the blockchain. We just pile cryptography on top of cryptography. Okay? Now, next, why blockchain? It is decentralized. That's the model that I gave us a moment ago. Decentralized means it's all over the world. And what does that do? It means we can trust it. Because if there's one person with one server, they can lie. But if there's 5,000 servers, 10,000 servers, and all 10,000 servers say the same thing, you can trust it. It cannot be faked, it cannot be cheated, it cannot be lied to. Now, what else about blockchain? It's an open ledger. It means that anybody can audit it, everybody can see it. All the cryptography is verifiable by anybody. And that means, interestingly enough, because it's open ledger, it means it can create new markets and new business models. And I'm going to try to talk about that today. What kind of new markets, what kind of new business models we can bring with blockchain, because it's actually really good about that. Okay? So where does it all start? It all starts with this guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. And maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. We think that he's a Japanese guy, except for, he's not a Japanese guy, right? We don't really know who Satoshi is. What we know about him is that he wrote this paper. His paper is called Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. He wrote this paper 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And it's only about 10 pages. It's very easy to read. I suggest that it's a lot better than reading your students' papers. If you get tired of reading the students' papers and you want to read something very fun, try to read this, because it's a brilliant idea. The guy who wrote this paper was able to take economic theory, computer science, history, politics, and combined all of them together, game theory, into one universal theory, and that's Bitcoin. And it's been working ever since. What was his main contribution? What did he do? Well, he made Bitcoin, but why is Bitcoin special? I'll try to explain why Bitcoin is so special. Satoshi, for the first time ever in the history of the world, solved the double spending problem, or double sending problem, the double spend or the double send. And let me explain what that means. If I get out my phone, and right now I take a picture. Yay! I've got a picture. Now, if I want to, I can send this picture to Facebook. And then I can send it a second time to Twitter. And then I can send it a third time in my email. I can send this digital picture as many times as I want. I can copy and paste it. It's double sending, triple sending, quadruple sending. But Satoshi, this brilliant, crazy guy named Satoshi, figured out a way that if you send a digital piece of information, you can only send it to one person. In Satoshi's world, if I send him this picture, I no longer have it. It's only his. If he then sends the picture to her, now she has it, I don't have it, and he doesn't have it. And this is a brilliant idea, especially when it comes for digital information, because nobody had figured this out. It's a truly remarkable idea. So blockchain's amazing breakthrough is not what you can do with it, it's what you cannot do with it. And the thing that you cannot do with blockchain is you cannot send the same thing twice. And trust me, I want to do this, right? How much is a Bitcoin worth? $6,000 or in pesos? 300,000 pesos. If I have a Bitcoin, it's a digital piece of information. It's worth 300,000 pesos. I wish I could send it to him and buy a watch. And then, just like a digital picture, I wish I could send it to her and buy some clothes. And then I wish I could send it to her and go on vacation, but I can't. I can only send it to one person at a time. And it's not just about money anymore. Bitcoin is the first. Bitcoin did money. But now you can do anything of value. And that's what this talk is going to talk about, sending value. So in NIM, we have improved the idea. So I'm a big-time Bitcoiner. I got into Bitcoin in 2013. And when I got into Bitcoin in 2013, I was blown away by these ideas and these principles that I just told you today. I was like, this is amazing. And if you can do this for money, what else can it do it for? And so at NIM, we've made it so that you can send money, but not just Bitcoin. The native currency of NIM is ZIM, but not just ZIM. Anybody in this room can now make their own cryptocurrency, and it only takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes. My girlfriend is a major in Chinese studies, and she made her own cryptocurrency. She's not a programmer. She doesn't even know how to make a hello world, and yet she made her own cryptocurrency. She calls it Tickle Coin. And she sends me Tickle Coin, and then she says, Jeff, look at your wallet. And I look at my wallet, and there's Tickle Coin, and she says, now I get to tickle you. Ha ha, tickle, tickle, tickle. She's a blockchainer, right? And this is the thing. You can make a coin for money, but you can make a coin for tickles. You can make a coin for anything that you want. It's up to your imagination, and it's how much fun you can have with it. It's not just about money, though. What else does the blockchain do? Well, at NIM, we do certificates, right? We're in university. A lot of people here in academia. You know what a big problem in academia is? Fake diplomas. People making fake PhDs. Do you know anybody at your university and you think, they can't have a PhD? I was a assistant professor for 8 years. And there was always people at my university that I wondered, do they really have a PhD? But with a blockchain, you can put that diploma on the blockchain, and once it's there, it cannot be faked, it cannot be cheated, there cannot be more than one. Not just certificates, it can be identity, driver's licenses, birth certificates, marriage certificates, property titles, who owns a house, who doesn't own a house, right? And this is a big deal. If you think about lots of countries in the world, there's not proper records on who owns what property, right? There's a lot of people in war areas, or the government changes, and there's no records about the property lines. If it's on the blockchain, remember, you can't shut it down. It exists everywhere, and those records live forever. It's awesome. So it's not just about certificates, it's not just about money, it's about voting. In NIM right now, we have a partnership with the Ukrainian government, and we are counting the votes on the blockchain. Imagine elections where nobody can cheat, nobody can lie, and 1 second after the election finishes, you know instantly who the winner is, right? That is the promise of the blockchain. It's not just about voting, it's about ID. In NIM, we have a great name domain naming system, not unlike the internet domain naming system, where it's a hierarchy of names, and you can build all kinds of advanced applications and decentralized naming systems. And again, they're there for everybody. And what's even more beautiful, the IoT. And this is important because the IoT is coming. The IoT is connected to everything. But you know what? An IoT device cannot open a bank account, right? You can't take in your phone and say, my phone needs a bank account, or my refrigerator needs a bank account, or my door lock in my house needs a bank account. But some of those things need money. And the blockchain is the perfect way for a refrigerator or a phone or a door lock to have money and have its own bank account. It's a very, very powerful way to connect IoT. And in fact, the IoT needs blockchain because it needs the security of the blockchain. Okay, so why blockchain? As I mentioned before, it has security, but I'm going to try to break down what security is it good at, what security is it not good at. Remember I said it's not good at speed, it's not good at efficiency, but it's great at security, right? So it is hack resistant. In America, time after time after time, I get an email that says so-and-so company has been hacked. That company has my name, they have my address, they have my phone number, they have my bank account information, they have my credit card information. 2 weeks ago, somebody stole my name and they opened up a fake bank account in my name and they tried to steal my money. My name and my ID and my address, it's not money, but it's worth more than money. With blockchain, for the first time ever, we can protect your identity in a way that cannot be hacked. It's a very powerful way. It also protects your privacy. As I was just mentioning before, if companies around the world adapt blockchain for storing our personal identity, then you will also have your privacy protected. It's very good at 100% uptime. Think of how many systems that you've been to and they're down. The blockchain never goes down. It's awesome, truly awesome. So that's why blockchain for security, but what else? Trust and auditability. The way the blockchain works is the cryptography on top of the cryptography on top of the cryptography. Actually, a blockchain has a full record of every transaction, every piece of information that's ever been made. Your traditional database, it has some information, it deletes it. Has some other information, and then deletes it. The blockchain never deletes anything. And all of it is auditable and verifiable. The next thing that it's very good at is supply chain. I know that my girlfriend loves to buy lotion for her face. Right? She spends a lot of time on hand cream and eye cream. She's Korean. You wouldn't believe how many kinds of lotion Korean girls have, right? They love lotion. But if you're buying lotion, how do you really know it came from Korea or it came from China, right? How do you know? Well, if it's on the blockchain, you know 100% of the way. Because it's all there and it can't be faked and it's very auditable. It's not just about lotions, it's about halal food. A lot of people around the world, they want halal food, or they want organic food, or they want food that came locally, not from very far away. We can put all this on the supply chain, on the blockchain, and it becomes very easy to see what you're putting into your body. Not just food, but medicine. And we do proof of existence. A long time ago, my grandmother died. It was really sad. My grandmother was a great lady. When my grandmother died, my family went to my grandmother's house, and my grandmother loved to buy jewelry. My grandmother loved watches. My grandmother loved earrings. My grandmother loved necklaces. And some of my grandmother's jewelry was real. Some of it was real gold, some of it was real diamonds, but most of my grandmother's jewelry was fake. She had like 5 boxes of earrings and necklaces and bracelets and anklets. Most of it was fake, but some of it was definitely very expensive. And we go ask my grandfather. We said, "Grandfather, is this real?" And my grandfather says, "I don't know, only your grandmother knows." And we're like, "Well, Grandpa, grandmother's dead. How do we know if this is real or not real?" And he's like, "I don't know." Right? If it's on the blockchain, you always know. Right? And so that's one of my companies in Malaysia, LuxTag. We're actually putting watches and all kinds of wonderful things on the blockchain. So this girl in America made a doll about me, and someday if I die, whenever I give the doll away, I can give away the blockchain certificate that has all the information about the doll. Or I have an expensive watch. Whenever I sell the watch, I have all the information about the watch on the blockchain. And it's not just watches or dolls, it can be anything that you need. So it's great for supply chain. It's great for auditability. Why blockchain? Blockchain is really good at serving underserved markets. Now this is the thing where it first became famous. And the first thing it became famous for was censorship resistance. A long time ago, there was a website called the Silk Road. Has anybody ever heard of the Silk Road? Yeah, Silk Road. Yeah. So the Silk Road was a website about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And the Silk Road was a website where you could buy drugs. Yeah, mainly marijuana, right? So if you think about it, I know nobody in this room does marijuana, right? We're in the Philippines. But people in other countries in the world do marijuana. And if you're trying to buy marijuana over the internet, how do you do it over the internet? Do you use your Visa card? Do you use your MasterCard? Yeah, right? It's a terrible idea. If you buy marijuana with your Visa card, wow, it's full. You're going to jail, right? What if you want to buy marijuana with cash, US dollars? Do you put all your dollars in a big box and then you take the box to the post office and you mail the box of US dollars? That box is never going to show up. Or somebody gets it and they say, "I don't get it," right? But the blockchain, Bitcoin, is censorship resistant. It means nobody can stop it and nobody can change it. And so people started using Bitcoin to buy marijuana on the internet because you could always prove, I sent it to you and you got it. Now where's my marijuana, right? And that's actually how Bitcoin got started. So in Bitcoin, we talk about the Bitcoin pizza, right? And so a long time ago, somebody spent 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. How much is that today? In US dollars? 10,000 Bitcoins in US dollars?
10,000 Bitcoins.
Times 10,000 times 6,000? 70 million. Somebody spent 70 million US dollars on 2 pizzas. $70 million on 2 pizzas. And this is the famous Bitcoin pizza transaction. And that's very famous. But the truth is, spending $70 million on 2 pizzas, it wasn't real. It was a joke. It was just one guy playing around with another guy. They were just having fun. It wasn't real money, it was fake money. But when Bitcoin was used on the Silk Road, oh, it was real money. People built whole businesses. People bought houses. People bought cars with the money that they made from that business. And then there were other ones like gambling websites. In the Philippines, we can't really gamble, right? There's no casino in Manila? Oh, we do? Oh. Sorry. There's a lot? Okay. Some country... Looks like some people went to the casino. Some countries, there are no casinos. Korea, for instance, there's no casino for Korean people. Korean people have to go to other countries if they want to gamble. Yeah. Bitcoin allowed people to gamble online on the internet and nobody could stop them. So that's one thing. What about another way of serving underserved markets? Let's think about the Philippines. How many people in the Philippines have a bank account? Is it half, 75%? Do we know? Many? Are there some people in the Philippines that do not have a bank account? Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't have a bank account. How many islands are there in the Philippines?
7,700.
Wow, I had no idea. That's a lot. Yeah. Some of those islands, if they're very small, maybe they don't even have a bank. Yeah, some of they don't even have an ATM machine. Now, are those people buying marijuana? Are they gambling? No. They're just normal people. They deserve a bank account, but banks don't care about them. Banks don't care about them because it's too expensive to build a bank on that island. It's too expensive to put an ATM machine on that island. Banks want to go after people in Manila, in Davos, in Cebu, in Boracay. There's lots of banks there. But in the small islands, banks ignore the people. But NIM, we don't care. We don't care where you are. We don't care how much money you are. If you have 1 peso and you go into a bank and you say, hey, I want to open a bank account, here's my peso, what is the bank going to say to you? Yeah, no, they're going to say, no, 1 peso? Is this a joke? Are you kidding me? 1 peso? Right? But on the blockchain, I don't care. You can give me 1/1,000,000th of a peso, and you can have a blockchain account. Wherever you are, however much money you have, you get to have an account on the blockchain. We serve the underserved. The other thing, creating new business models. Now this is super important. Super important. Blockchain is doing all kinds of crazy things, but I'm going to back up to the internet. I see a lot of people in this room today are above 40 years old. Yeah, I'm above 40, yay! No, below 40? 30s. 30s, we have some 30s. All right. Do you guys remember when Wikipedia came out? Yeah, Wikipedia? Yeah. Wikipedia came out a long time ago. Now, when I was a kid and I was studying and I asked my parents a question, do you know what my parents always told me? They said, go to the encyclopedia. Yeah, we have the same family, right? It doesn't matter. I was always asking so many questions, and my parents said, go look in the encyclopedia, go look in the encyclopedia, go to the library, right? I think they just wanted to get rid of me. I don't know. But we know that Wikipedia is now way better than encyclopedias, right? There's so much information on Wikipedia. Well, I was around when Wikipedia first started, in year number 1. And when the Wikipedia first came out in year number 1, I started to write articles on Wikipedia. And I was making this article, and I was making that article, and I was telling my friends, I was like, there's this thing called Wikipedia, it's awesome. I'm writing, I'm making articles. And you know what my friends said? They said, you're nobody. Who's going to read your article? That's stupid. Wikipedia will never work. I don't believe in Wikipedia. But I told my friends, no, Wikipedia is awesome. Anybody can contribute to it. Anybody can make articles. And my friends said, no, you have to write a book. Only books are important. Well, we know what happens. Wikipedia won. Now, Wikipedia has the best information. Now, honestly, a lot of the articles that I made on Wikipedia got deleted. They were really bad. It was the early days. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't a scholar. I was just a student at the university when I was writing those articles. But some of my articles are still there today. And my original Wikipedia article was like this big, and now it's like this big, and it has 100 references because other people came after me and they built it. And that was awesome. It was nice to see those Wikipedia articles grow. The internet put encyclopedias out of business with Wikipedia. But it wasn't just Wikipedia, Netflix. When I was a kid, we had Blockbuster. Did you guys have Blockbuster in the Philippines? You have Video City, right? Video City. You go into Video City, they had 300 videos. 300. You could go in, it seemed like you could look and look and look, all those different videos, and you get them and you take it home. Now, Netflix killed Video City, right? Netflix is so much better. Taxis. We are right now watching Grab, we're watching Uber around the world, Lyft, put taxis out of business. Airbnb. Used to be, when I was a kid, Hilton, Marriott. Man, Marriotts were all over the world. Hilton was the best one. If you stayed in the Hilton, you were awesome. Now Airbnb is killing Hilton, right? The internet is changing the way we live. And just like when the internet started, we didn't know that Wikipedia was going to kill encyclopedias. We didn't know Airbnb was going to kill hotels. We didn't know that Grab was going to kill taxis, right? Right now, blockchain is looking for new business models. And we're coming after the banks. We're going after governments. We're going after security. We're going after identity. We aren't going after them, we're looking to partner with them. We're looking to help them. We're looking to make their business models better. And these business models are going to change the world. It's the natural evolution of the internet. The internet is changing one thing, another thing, another thing, and another thing. But the internet really hasn't changed banking. And the internet really hasn't changed government. But wait, it's coming. These things are resistant to change, and they're going to change. I heard some people talk about today, these are all the areas that we're looking at. I heard today, because we have security, we have creating new markets, and we have auditability. Let me just talk about one of these cases. I can't talk about all of these, it's too hard, but I heard somebody in the crowd today is from a university that does nursing and medical, right? I'm just going to talk about medical records. Right now, when you think of medical records, you have one hospital and it has all your medical records, and you go to another hospital and they say, what do they say? They say, give me your medical, and you have to go back, and you have to print this out, and you get all these papers, and you go over here, and they say, oh, no, we can't help you, you need to go to this other hospital, and then you have to get these records, and these records, and these records. It's a terrible system, and it's not just here, it's everywhere in the world. And just like Netflix changed Video City, or Wikipedia changed encyclopedias, medical records can go on the blockchain. Imagine a world where when you go to see a new doctor, you just give him a QR code, and now he has all of your former medical records. You don't have to go here, you don't have to go there. This is an example of how blockchain using new models, because we have a new database model, and which is more secure and more private, and a new internet model, a new network model, 100% uptime, cannot close it down. Nobody can censor it. And it's not just with medical records, it's with all of these things. It's pretty revolutionary. And so when my partner was speaking earlier today, and he's talking about growth and about building, I've been in blockchain since 2013. And in 2014, there were double the amount of people I knew in blockchain than in 2013. In 2015, there were double the amount of 2014. In 2016, there were double the amount of 2015. The same for 2017, the same for 2018. My field of blockchain more than doubles every single year. And not just, and basically any way I can measure. With people in my chat groups, with YouTube videos, with articles, with governments that are partnering with us, with businesses that are building on us, with employees in the foundation. We more than double every year. It's absolute, every way I can imagine. That is exponential growth. And it's not just the people, it's the money. Every year my money doubles. $100 becomes $200, becomes $400, becomes $800, becomes $1,600, becomes $32. Every year my money doubles. It's pretty awesome. And when I talk about all these different examples, these are not just ideas. These are the real companies that right now are building on MELJUN. We have people doing real estate, loyalty points, exchanges, charities, social media, education, e-commerce, collaboration, IoT, marketing, authenticity, gaming, payments, system integrations, finance. We literally have different companies doing projects in all of these areas. And it's not just an idea. This is real teams with real people. And like I said, every year this chart doubles and doubles again. We can't even put all the companies on this chart now because there's not enough space in this PPT format. I'm going to talk about really quickly some of the cool things that we're doing with blockchain and why it's so awesome. I'm going to take an example of Alice and Bob. Now, a lot of you have probably bought a house before or bought a car before, okay? And here's an example of what normally happens. Alice wants to give Bob money, let's say 3 million pesos, right? Or 3,000 zim. And Bob needs to give Alice the title to the house. But it's not so easy to just give the title. Bob just doesn't say here. There's something called the government, right? And the government's heavily involved, right? And it's not just the government. There's a realtor, right? There's this person who wants some money too. And the government, they just don't want to see the title. They want money, right? They want taxes. And they want to stamp the title. They want to make sure that the title's official. And so when you buy a house, and it's even more complicated because over here there's a bank. And trust me, the banks are involved too. And then you have it over here, it's even more complicated because there's an insurance company. But I didn't want to fill all of this up with all this. But here's the example. When you buy a house, there's a lot of different steps, there's a lot of different processes, and there's a lot of different actors. With the blockchain, all of this becomes one step. It happens at one time, in 1 second, in one transaction. Because in the blockchain, we can make a complicated contract. We call it smart contracts. Now, why we call it smart contracts, I don't really know. But just understand that a smart contract on the blockchain is doing really, 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 really complicated things and automatically. And so we can get all of these partners together, including the bank and the insurance company, and we can make it so it all happens instantly. In 1 second, Bob is the owner of the house, and in the next second, Alice is the owner of the house. She has the money, the government has approved, the bank has approved, the insurance is insured, and it all happens instantly. It's a way better system, right? Yeah, oh yeah, trust me. If you've ever bought a house, you know how hard it is. But we can automate this, and this is the birth of smart, programmable value. I'll say that again. Smart, programmable value. Let's talk about money, for instance. If I take a little bit of money, this money is dumb money. This money goes wherever I go. It doesn't have any history. It doesn't have any records. But the blockchain is smart money. It is money that is programmable. It is money that has attributes. And it's not just money. We can make smart programmable titles. We can make smart programmable stamps. We can make money that is smart and programmable. It's truly a great technology. Not just money, we can do smart programmable elections. In NIM, you can do re-voting. You can do multiple choice voting. You can do split voting. You can do delegated voting. If I'm going to go out of town, I can make a contract just like this, but I can give my friend all of my voting power. But I can also program it and say, I give you all the voting power, but only if you vote conservative, or only if you vote liberal, or only if you vote on these issues the way. I can program what he's allowed to vote for me or not allowed to vote for me. Smart programmable voting, money, smart programmable identity, smart programmable property certificates. It's truly amazing to have smart programmable value. It's going to change the world and the way we think about our things, especially our digital things. Here's another example. We call this multi-signature or multi-user accounts. And this is another way that we do smart programming. Bob, let's say Bob can send money from his account anytime he wants. There's money here, he wants to spend it. But in blockchain, let's say Bob wants to make a backup account. There's a big problem in blockchain. And I have friends that have lost their phone or their computer gets hacked and they lose more than $1 million. This has happened to more than one friend, more than one time, that they've lost more than $1 million. It's absolutely crazy. And on a centralized database like your bank, if your bank gets hacked, the government helps you out. If somebody breaks into if you lose your password for your bank, you can call your bank and say, I forgot my password. But on blockchain, there's no 1-800 number. You cannot call anybody. If you forget your password on blockchain, your money is gone forever. If your computer dies, your money is dead forever. This is a really big problem that we have with blockchain, but we're trying to fix it. We're trying to make it better, and the developers are getting better and better, and this is one of the ways we solve it. So Bob has all his money. He wants to make sure that if he loses his phone, he has a backup. But here's the problem. Now, there's one way for him to get hacked, and now there's 2 ways for him to get hacked. There's 2 ways for people to steal his money. So what is he going to do? He's going to make a multi-sig. So now, Bob can send money anytime he wants, or his mom and his brother. But maybe his brother is always on vacation, or his mom, she doesn't understand cryptocurrency. She doesn't understand blockchain, right? So he's a little bit worried about making them, so he adds his friend, right? He can do his best friend and his mom, or his best friend and his brother, or maybe he like my best friend was very good, but there was that time that my best friend went to jail. And what if my best friend steals my brother's phone? Now he can steal my money, right? So what you can do is you can make two of your best friends, Alice and Bob and the brother. Alice and Bob and the mother can now help Bob. There's two Bobs, Bob number one, Bob number two. Anyway, we can do that. This is smart programmable logic on the blockchain. It's very cool. Here's an example. I'm just going to give you some fun things that we've already done on NIM. This is open source. We have video games, a lot of video games on NIM. This one's called PackNIM. It's very fun. Here's another example. Somebody built an MP3 store on the NIM blockchain. So you can go and buy and sell MP3s, and none of the money goes to Apple. None of the money goes to Google. 100% of the money goes to the artist. Here's another example. IONIM, this guy made a project that connected IoT into the NIM blockchain. Here's another example. Ninventory, this guy made an inventory app that's built completely on the blockchain. Remember, there's databases all around the world. Movie theaters have databases. We can switch those over to blockchain. Universities have databases. We can switch those over to blockchain. The government has databases. We can switch those over to blockchain. Blockchain can change everywhere. DNS, we have a DNS system built into the NIM. Here's one of the ones that I'm most proud about. 2 months ago, I had the honor of going to the Crow Nation in America. The Crow Indians live in Montana, and they have their own little nation within America. And I was able to be there for a demonstration of the e-government application. And all in one application, we put identity, property titles, voting, and currency. Now, theoretically, you could have built an application for the Philippines or for America or for the Crow Nation that had everything, your national ID, your property, your voting, and your money all in one app. But it would have been incredibly expensive, and it would have not been secure. But with blockchain, it only took us a few months to build a whole e-government solution. It's extremely secure, and it was cheap to build. This is pretty awesome, and it's just one example of some of the great things that we're doing. There's a lot of problems with blockchain. Blockchain is young. Blockchain is bad. We need to make it better. Remember I was talking about my friends losing money? It happens a lot, a whole lot. One of my friends has a Bitcoin exchange, and 3 weeks ago, he had $60 million stolen from his exchange. This is one of my good friends that I've known for years. NIM had $500 million stolen from an exchange in Japan about, was it like 9 months ago, maybe? Yeah. $500 million. People are losing their money. So we need to fix that. We're working on it. Blockchain doesn't scale. Bitcoin does 2 transactions per second, 5 transactions per second, maybe 10 transactions per second. It's like dial-up internet. It's not even dial-up internet.